It's Cade Klubnik's last ride. He says the roster is older, tougher, and built to finish. We'll talk about it right here on Locked on Clemson.
You are Locked on Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked on Clemson, part-time host and producer on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked on Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. If you're new to the show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode going forward. And if you're an everydayer, thank you for coming back in and watching and being a part of the show. You know how we do it here. Exclusive Clemson content Monday through Friday every single week. And don't forget, you can follow me in between episodes over on X at The Morgan T Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Cade Klubnik. He is the best quarterback in the country. You don't have to take my word for it. David Hale over on ESPN ranked 136 quarterbacks. Who did he put as number one? This was not a Locked on Clemson list, although I would put him as number one as well. This is not a Clemson Homer list. This is ESPN. If anything, they'd be anti-SEC or ACC, but they're not. They're not all SEC on this list, even though there's a ton of them on there. Number one guy on the list is Cade Klubnik. 24/7 Sports. Who do they have in their top 50? They have Cade Klubnik as number one. So we know that going into this season, that it is not just Locked on Clemson or the Clemson fan base that is hyped around their quarterback. Does Clemson have the best quarterback in the country? Let me know if you agree or disagree, but I would say I agree. Now, the good thing is that Cade has gone through some growing pains. You know, we know that he's had some years where it's been extremely frustrating. Last year was much better than his very first year as a quarterback. But he needs to take that next step. He needs to be that best player in the country. Although he is the number one quarterback in these preseason lists, would you really want him as your quarterback for your NFL team? I would say he's still got a ways to go, and there's a gap there. He is a very good college quarterback. We know he was an elite high school quarterback. But he now needs to take that next step and become an elite college quarterback to the point where he's in the mix for starting for an NFL team. He's in the mix for a first-round draft pick. Why would you be a preseason number one quarterback and then still kind of iffy on if you're a first-round drafter or not? That's where, especially in your last year, that's where there's a gap. Everybody can improve. Everybody needs to continue to find ways to improve in life, in sports, in work, in family, whatever it may be. Cade's year is this year. This is it. The last season for Cade Klubnik as a Clemson Tiger. You know, there'll be a lot of tears at the end of the season from the football team to the family members to the fan base, because Cade's been a great representation of Clemson, you know, for his 3 years he's been here. Cade's been grounded in his faith, his family, his team, his teammates, his small community that he has that anchors him through those rough seasons where guys like me were kind of getting on him, you know, and rightfully so, because these guys are getting paid. These guys are getting to the best part of college football, and they need to perform. I mean, that's the expectation. And talking heads like myself, we're gonna definitely hold you to it. But I'm a fan as well, and I want Cade to do well. Whereas you may be these guys that are putting him in the list, and you don't really care if he does well or not. There's a vested interest for me because I have a diploma over there and on the wall. And so I want my university to do well. I want my football team to do well. That's just the way it is. It's America to me. Can Cade get Clemson to the ultimate mountaintop that Trevor Lawrence was able to do, that Deshaun Watson was able to do? Can he get to the Heisman Trophy ceremony and actually win it? He's got the best chance of anybody else out there. The team, as he mentioned and reminded us when he was on ACC Huddle recently, that the team has gotten older, more experienced, and they have lived through some of the bad games. They've gone to championship games. They've gone to playoffs. So it's that kind of experience that helps you learn, helps you grow. It's not just a group of guys who's never played together before, or this will be the first time they've played together, or they're just getting to know each other in the spring or the fall. Clemson is in a unique situation compared to just about anybody else in the country, as they are the top returning team for production in 2025. Cade is more mature. He is a veteran in the locker room. He is a leader. And I feel as if year over year, he has moved from inconsistent, streaky to more steady. The steadiness needs to turn into putting games away, needs to turn into becoming legendary. He has a lot of these things that are going to get him there internally in his heart. Can he do it with his hands? His head's there, his heart's there, his hands. Can he do it? Can he do it with his legs? Time will tell, but I think Clemson has the best chance with Cade Klubnik. When I look at the list of other guys, you've got Garrett Nussmeier, a guy he's going to have to play the very first game of the season. It's going to be a great matchup. As much as I hype it up, as much as I talk about the matchups, the strengths and the weaknesses for each team, that first game of the season is going to be a big-time test for Cade. And it's going to be the very first test for really both of those quarterbacks. Can they win the elite game, even if it's the first game of the season, which adds even more stress? Cade has grounded himself really well. I think he's going to be able to play faster this season. And he doesn't have to be the hero that we've talked about in the past and do everything. When he tries to do everything, that's when those drives typically don't work out well for him. So his experience, positive and negative, have gotten him to where he's at now. I think one thing that was fun for me to hear from him was just how he's built relationships with his offensive line. He originally mentioned that he thought building the relationship with offensive line was like buying things for them or going and taking them out to eat purposefully and having everything extremely formal. And then what he started to realize was what really built that camaraderie and that relationship with his offensive line was the organic stuff, the stuff after practice where they went and did stuff and they didn't just go right back to their room. The stuff, in between workouts or during the off season where they ran to the Chick-fil-A and instead of going through the drive-thru, they went in and they just hung out and they ended up leaving 2 hours later. I know I've done that with my friends, and that's how you build that camaraderie. That's how you build that true ability to trust each other. Cade Klubnik trusts his offensive line, I think, more than he has in his career. That was the one thing that you could kind of see. When his feet are finicky and panicky, it's typically because his eyes are seeing that his offensive line, or at least his brain is thinking that his offensive line is not computing. It's not going to last. So building that consistency, that trust, him getting more mature. And now I'm curious to see how he takes on the praise and the expectations that come along with not just being a 5-star guy, but being the number one quarterback according to major outlets in college football. Not just Locked on Clemson, as I said. The mindset, the heart, the faith, the camaraderie, that all needs to come together. He's got the best team around him possible, I believe, but he's got to be able to do it with his hands. And it starts with winning the first game of the season against LSU and taking it through the rest of this fall. We'll see how it goes. I have faith in Cade Klubnik. I hope that he does well. Can he finish those drives, finish those games, and beat those teams? Because, whether or not we like to remind ourselves of it, the SEC fans, the Gamecock fans, and the LSU fans, they like to remind me that Cade lost 3 SEC games last season. And he gets a chance at least one game at a time to right that. All right, we'll talk about who he has around him in that wide receiver room and Tyler Brown returning as well. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, you can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you can also build your wealth. I love how you can spread and save your money across accounts, but also that you can track those accounts and stay on the same pace with your spouse or partner, whoever it may be. You can have all of your accounts in one place, all of your spending in one place, so you can track everything. You don't have to share accounts, but you can at least have it in one app on one website where you can see everything and have a goal in mind. Take control of your finances. With Monarch Money, use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Clemson's wide receiver room will help Cade Klubnik get to that next level that we're talking about. Cade needs to be elite in 2025, and he has possibly the most QB-friendly room that is built for the most explosive plays, but really any play. Clemson has one of just about everything when it comes to wide receivers. Now, LSU fans would like to say that they have the best wide receiver room. I'd typically like to argue against that. I think that Clemson has one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. And the funny thing is they're returning a guy who actually has production, not just talent or expectation or speculation, but has production that they've missed last season. Cade reinforced his confidence in his wide receivers. He couldn't stop talking about how explosive they were, how smart they were, how QB friendly they are for him. And when asked about Tyler Brown and his return, he said that he looks great in practice. He looks very electric, and he's ready to bounce back. Is it Clemson's missing piece? I don't know if it's a missing piece, but Tyler Brown's ability to continue to move the chains and to seem to just flow through his route smoothly and be a safety valve like another Antonio Williams for Cade Klubnik, I think will just add to that arsenal that they have. I mean, what don't they have at wide receiver? They've got Bryant Wesco on the outside, who is a 5-star guy. He's going to take the top off a type guy. He's a real tall guy as well. Tristan Smith, that they brought in from the transfer portal, who was a star in the spring game. Also another guy, very tall, can take the top off, can beat you in one-on-ones in the red zone. So they've got 2 elite, true outside one-on-one matchup guys at the wide receiver room on one side. Then on the other side, they have TJ Moore, Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams a little bit smaller, but one of those guys that's just going to keep moving the chains and get open. TJ Moore, one of those guys that at any moment could score a touchdown on you in any different way. And it doesn't have to just beat you deep, but TJ Moore is like the Swiss Army knife, the all-around guy that can do literally everything that you would want as a wide receiver. Could possibly be the best one out there. And that is saying something, because those other two guys, or those other three guys that I mentioned, are also extremely good. Now, I haven't even mentioned Cole Turner, who just seems to make plays. You know, he's not going to get any of the highlight reel talk from the national media, but Clemson fans have seen some of his highlight reel. He can win one-on-ones. He's going to scrap with you. He's going to fight over it. He's going to burn you if you let him. And then the guy we haven't been able to talk about, which is the guy that as a freshman did really well, is Tyler Brown. Because he was injured last season, we really didn't get to see him. So what doesn't Cade Klubnik have when he talks about wide receiver or when he talks about being quarterback friendly? There are a lot of teams out there that definitely could put their name on wide receiver U, and Clemson lost that over the couple of years because of poor recruiting. But these guys that are on this roster right now, these Tyler Grisham guys, by the way, for all of you Tyler Grisham haters out there, I don't think you hate him much anymore. But you had a lot of doubts when he was first hired. Now all of those doubts, I'm assuming, are gone. But they're extremely intelligent wide receivers who can get open in space. That's one thing that was so frustrating with DJ at quarterback. We didn't know if it was his problem or the wide receiver problem. Could DJ not throw him open, or could they not get open? Or could DJ not find them? Cade says that even if the wide receiver is the fourth read on the play, he has trust in them, that he knows that he doesn't have to rush it. He doesn't have to force it. He knows they're going to be where they're at, and the timing is going to be there. He understands the tempo of the game better than he ever has. He understands that his wide receivers, and trusts that his wide receivers also have that. And being healthy is huge, because it just adds another guy in the rotation. And Tyler Brown, while he's not super fast off the snap, twitchy off the snap, he has a mid-route burst that gets him open in space that's better than, I think, anybody on the team. Obviously, Antonio Williams as well is another guy that you can trust. But I love the rotation that Clemson has. They're getting more experienced. They're getting more reps. And the only way you learn and grow and develop is through that experience. So as this roster gets older, they're not getting slower. If anything, they're getting faster, more explosive, more lethal. And the great thing is that if this is all working out the way we think it is, you're going to expect the best chemistry we've seen between wide receiver and quarterback in 5-6 years, which is kind of crazy to think that it's been that long since we've been able to be so confident with Clemson's wide receiver room. Now, again, I think some of the naysayers will say, Cade's got to prove it. And Clemson's lost those toughest games of the season. They lost them all last season. That is true. And that's always going to be the hurdle for 2025. Because of the mistakes from 2024 and the losses from 2024, we're going to, as a fan base and Clemson as a football team, have to figure out a way to get over that. Well, the good thing is that LSU is first up on the list, and Clemson has a great schedule of LSU, SMU, Syracuse, Florida State, Louisville on the road, South Carolina. They have a great list of teams that can really be those that erase some of the doubts from what you had last season. Clemson has exactly the firepower that they need, and Cade should be as poised and confident and patient under pressure than he ever has been. But the wide receivers are not all that we want to brag about. Cade also mentioned that there's one guy that there's a lot of doubts around, especially from the fan base. There's a lot of doubts around this one guy, but Cade says he is a matchup nightmare. It's going to be really fun to work with him in 2025. We'll talk about it. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not about dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. I'm the guy who I always do things last minute. I mean, last millisecond, I went to both national championship games with the very, very last second decision, and I needed to see the national championship game, but also there's been times with concerts I've needed to see a show, and Game Time has bailed me out more than once. I love going into the app, see exactly where I'm going to sit, and figure out what I want to do, where I want to sit, how much I want to spend right before I buy. The price there is the price you'll pay. No hidden fees, no stress, just tickets that are in my pocket and cash left over. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It's Cade Klubnik's final ride. We talked about the wide receivers, but the one guy that he mentioned that would be a matchup problem for college football and the opposing teams for Clemson would be that of Adam Randall. He was asked on ACC Huddle how worried he was or concerned he was with the running back group being so new, I guess, or losing Phil Maffa was a big piece. Losing Will Shipley 2 seasons ago, big piece there. And now it's kind of a running back room reset. They're young on paper. They don't have a lot of experience on paper. Adam Randall has a lot of experience, but not as a running back. And Cade seemed to light up when he talked about Adam Randall more than fake it until he make it. And that's how I feel about it. He called the running back room loaded. It's hard to stump for loaded. I would say that there are probably better running back rooms out there. I don't know if I would say loaded quite yet. Loaded to me is I need to see it a little bit more for sure. But Adam Randall's move to the running back room, I think, is going to be a good one. I do feel he's going to start as running back 1. I had a good friend recently text me and say, Morgan, how can you keep putting this stuff out about Adam Randall being the running back number 1? It's going to be Gideon Davidson. And if it's not Gideon Davidson, then I'm not even watching the game, because Adam Randall does not need to be running back number 1. He's a wide receiver. I said he was a wide receiver. I wouldn't count Adam Randall out at all, because think about the types of offenses that Clemson would like to run, the type of player that Travis Etienne was when it comes to enhancing the passing game. I think Clemson is going to be much more of a passing team in 2025, but a lot of it kind of turns into an extension of the run game. And I'm not meaning bubble screens and running back screens, but I am saying, remember how good Travis Etienne was with kind of holding or chipping and then getting out into space just anywhere? Why can't Adam Randall do the same thing? Now, we know he runs hard, but his number one skill that you'd probably trust the most is his ability to just find space out in the open. And he's not going to be up against the best of the best cornerbacks anymore. He's going to be up against linebackers and some nickels and possibly have a size advantage over some of those guys. But also, there's a lot going on around the line of scrimmage where you can get lost. It's not just a pure one-on-one sideline matchup. So whereas Etienne kind of squeaked out of the backfield and got open and was Trevor Lawrence's, favorite check down, Adam Randall can do the same, and I think even better than Phil Maffa did. So I think it could be an improvement to the running game improvement to the passing game through the running game. So it would be kind of like, instead of just handing it off behind the line of scrimmage, you just wait a few seconds and dump it to him 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, right? Still very similar, but just different. Adam Randall is going to go toe-to-toe with any linebacker. I mean, he's nearing 240, what we're hearing. He has very low body fat. He has great speed, and he knows the protections. And again, that seems like crazy to say that Adam Randall can be that guy, but why not? Right? Why not? I mean, he has the frame to do it. So he could be your running back one. I think he will be for the beginning of the season. I have said during the offseason that I think he'll eventually move and Gideon Davidson will take over that spot as running back one, and maybe Adam Randall will be more of that leak out of the backfield role exclusively. Maybe he'll be more of the passing down, guaranteed passing down type guy, because he can still run the ball, but maybe you really want him in that running game as an extension of the passing game, or passing game as an extension of the running game, rather. I think more of your true running back is going to be Gideon Davidson. That's for sure. And then David Ezeomume. I mean, we have to acknowledge that he really showed out in the spring for us, and that he's kind of got that chip on his shoulder like we've forgotten about him. I haven't forgotten about him. I know you haven't. But nobody's really talking about him. Everybody's talking about Adam Randall and asking about Adam Randall on the national media. I think Clemson is very unknown with their running back room. Are they loaded? I'm not yet ready to say that. Can they be a matchup stressor? Oh, yeah, definitely. I think Gideon Davidson's going to be a stressor to teams. Ezeomume is going to be a more traditional stressor. I definitely think Adam Randall is going to be a stressor, especially in the red zone. Someone like that, 240, but still fast, but has hands. Baby Julio, as we joke, that never really worked out in the wide receiver room. What happens if, there are so many other fan bases out here that will what if me to death, about players who have done nothing that did nothing in 2024. There are a lot of transfer portal players that other teams have that they think are going to be just legit. And you look at their 2024 stats and it's like, okay, you say that they're fast, but they did nothing in 2024. So I went out on X and I said, hey, if you're going to what if me on all of your players, then what if me if Adam Randall is 1,000-yard rusher? What if me if Adam Randall has a ton of receiving yards, like 500, because of that ability to stress you out in the passing game. I think there's a lot of things that I could see from Adam Randall that are in the positive versus the negative. Will he be used more in those situations? Will he be used more in the red zone situations? And will it be Gideon Davidson instead? I am really curious to see how they do rotate at the very beginning of the game. If I know anything about Dabo Swinney, I don't think we're going to see Gideon Davidson very early in the LSU game, because he seems to, prefer not to play the true freshman over his more tenured players, unless they are Sammy Watkins or Jamie Harper, and that really didn't work out. I think that's why Dabo is kind of jaded with playing a true freshman at the very, very beginning of the game, because of the Jamie Harper problem, where Jamie Harper was good, but fumbled the very first handoff he ever had, and it was detrimental to the team for that game. Adam Randall has the power. He's built more weight. They say it's lean, and he's still fast enough to get open in space and make things work. Defenders are going to be frustrated with him. I believe. I think that Garrett Riley is someone who you can trust to put him in the right situations to really, really frustrate a defense. All right. Hey, thank you so much for making Locked on Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Bryant Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan of the rapid changes to college football. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, this is the last, this week is the last week of July. At the end of the week, we're about to get into August. It's kind of crazy to say, but we're counting down the days till we get to that big time matchup with LSU. Thank you so much, the everydayers, for sticking with me to the very end. We'll see you at the top of the hill.